What's up, wrestling fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and following my recent video where I talked about the five WWE men superstars that I feel like should win the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2024, I decided to do a list of five women who I think should also win. So these are women that have not won the World Championship as of this recording, and that I feel would be elevated to that status by winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. So here are five WWE women that I feel should win the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2024. The first one I went with is like the most recent, like up and coming superstar on the main roster, and that's Tiffany Stratton. I feel like they're trying to build her into almost maybe the next Charlotte Flair. She hasn't had a whole lot of matches yet as of the time of this recording, but I feel like because they brought her up from NXT, they saw something in her in a similar way to, that they brought Braun Breaker up to the main roster and that kind of thing. I feel like they're trying to build her to that championship level status, and she does seem like to have that sort of it factor that they're looking for to be a future world champion. She's kind of similar to like Charlotte Flair or even like Carmella when she won the first Money in the Bank. It seems like they see something in her where they want to give her a championship at some point. And I think what better way to do that than to give her the Money in the Bank briefcase? She is a heel, so I feel like her strutting around with the briefcase for several months or whatever would kind of be funny and also just fun to see because like she could pop up at any moment and take the championship from somebody. I think it'd be a really surprising moment and like nobody would be expecting it especially, and just that would play into her character of like she thinks she's like the greatest thing ever. So like to have her win the Money in the Bank briefcase, I think would elevate her character and make her seem more like that world champion level superstar that they want, that they seem to be trying to build her toward. Next up is another superstar who I think is kind of similar to Tiffany Stratton. It's someone that they've invested a lot of time into, I feel like, and that is Chelsea Green. I know she's playing like this funny character where she like thinks she's all that, or she's basically playing a Karen, as they would call it, where she just keeps complaining to Adam Pearce and stuff to get opportunities that she thinks she deserves and that kind of thing. I think it'd be funny to see her win the Money in the Bank briefcase, but then it would also elevate her when she actually does either stumble into a world title match or whatever. She's almost like that R-Truth character, but for the women's division. So to see her like actually win a championship from being, Miss Money in the Bank, I think it'd be hilarious, and I think it would also like elevate her to this big higher status that maybe we're led to believe she has. Like everybody kind of, well, I don't know if they like her necessarily, but like WWE seems to be investing a lot of their time into making her that character since they brought her back to WWE. So I feel like giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase would really add to her like ego that she thinks she deserves all these opportunities, and now she has this briefcase to get that opportunity. And I mean, she might even cash in and like lose, but I think it'd still be kind of funny at least to see, and it would actually make sense for her type of character to lose by cashing it in. Whereas, in the past, at least with like the men's division and stuff, we've seen people cash in, like John Cena cashed in and lost, and it kind of didn't make any sense that he would lose, that sort of thing. So like she seems like the kind of character that would lose in her cash in, because she tried to cash in on like Rhea Ripley or something and it wouldn't work out at all. I just think it would be funny to see that happen. Next up, on a similar note to like how WWE is building up Tiffany Stratton, like I mentioned, is this other recent acquisition that they got, which would be Jade Cargill. I feel like she is already at that level where she seems like she should be world champion. Just her run in AEW, I mean, they didn't do anything that exciting with her. She was undefeated for like 52 straight matches or something, or at least 52 title defenses she had when she held the TBS championship there. And they brought her up to WWE, and they didn't just like throw her in NXT. They brought her up as if she was a big deal. Like they promoted her on all three brands and that sort of thing. They were trying to decide where they wanted her to go. All three general managers were like trying to sign her. It was this huge big deal, and then they didn't really do anything with her until WrestleMania, like where she really had her first match. She was in a 6-woman tag team match, teaming with Naomi and Bianca Belair against Damage Control. And I just think she's already at that level to where they will eventually put the championship on her. She almost seems like she was already Charlotte Flair levels of like talent, and she's ready to go. So I think to start her off with a run with the Money in the Bank briefcase is like the perfect way to get her into that main event status and to get her that championship. She seems like that threatening superstar that like anybody in the locker room would be in fear of if she holds that Money in the Bank briefcase, and all the champions would have to really be on high alert. And if they really wanted to make a star out of her, I think the perfect way to do that would be to win the Money in the Bank ladder match. Next up, I was kind of iffy on this one, but I went with Zelina Vega. I think, they are doing stuff with her. I mean, she's mostly been the manager for like the LWO and helping Rey Mysterio and that sort of thing. But I feel like she has that quality that they're looking for, where she does have the star power and people really love her and get behind her when she's competing. That I think giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase, would make her that like sympathetic baby face that we could all get behind, and we can't wait till she cashes in this thing, and like she deserves it and that sort of thing. Kind of like when Liv Morgan did it, for example, or Nikki ASH. Like everyone really loved that, and the crowd went crazy when she cashed it in and won the thing. And Zelina Vega, I feel like, is kind of on that same level. And I think it would kind of get her out of that more managerial role and back into being a competitor again. It's not to say she hasn't competed in matches, it's just she seems like she's also more of a manager now than she was before. So like to get her out of that, maybe have her win the Money in the Bank briefcase, it would be a really memorable moment, seeing her cash in the Money in the Bank and winning her first world championship in WWE. And finally, I went with Nia Jax. Like her or hate her, I do like what they have been doing with her since she came back. She has improved a lot in the ring, and she is this like monster heel that, even went toe-to-toe with like Rhea Ripley and that kind of stuff. And she is putting on these really good matches, I feel like. So maybe giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase and making her that like dominant sort of character where she's a threat to every champion on the roster. Kind of like what I said with Gunther in my men's video. Go check that one out. I said that he's like that threat in the locker room that nobody could beat for the Intercontinental Championship for all that time. And like realistically, if whoever he cashed in on, he could beat. Like he could even beat Roman Reigns probably. Just because that's the kind of superstar they built Gunther up to be. He's that locker room villain. And I feel like, in a way, Nia Jax plays that role for the women's division more so than, like, Rhea Ripley. Like, while Rhea Ripley is tough to beat, I feel like Nia Jax is this even more dominant figure. Like, if they really get her going and give her this really big push, and they wanted to give her a reason to go after the World Championship again, giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase might be the perfect way to start that back up. But there you go, guys. Those were my picks for the 5 WWE women that I think should win the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2024. Obviously, this was filmed before they even announced any of the current, like who's going to compete in the match and that kind of thing. So this isn't really predictions for the actual ladder match itself. These are just some women that I feel should win the match. But let me know what you guys think. Who would you choose out of these women or anybody else on the roster that you think should win the Money in the Bank briefcase? Also, go back and check out my other video I did last week where I talked about the men that I think should win the Money in the Bank this year, if you haven't seen that one yet. And also check out any other wrestling content we put up on this channel. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.